Otherwise, delighted to be here for the 2024 AGM. Some great movement and great strides, but I won't steal Mark McCall's thunder there on his chair's report as to what we're experiencing in Northern Ireland. But as an outsider and a proud committee member, it's great to see what's happening across the region. Great to see so many people giving up their Wednesday evenings as well. I don't even know what time Coronation Street starts at this moment, but it's probably in around this time. But it's all about the community. It's all about helping each other. It's all about spreading the message and talking about the positives about electric vehicle driving, because sometimes the negatives can get a lot of media attention. So it's great to see people participating and contributing to help others to spread the message, and that's what EVA Association Northern Ireland is all about. We are 2 minutes in. We're going to give it 1 more minute, and then we're going to go into the talk through the agenda, and then start into the presentations. We're going to have some polls tonight as well, and we're also recording this meeting. So if you do need an alibi, this is your alibi for wherever you need to be. We've said that you're here. Well, your laptop was logged in anyway. Otherwise, it's great to see so many people on. Okay, folks, we're 3 minutes past. We try to be prompt and keep you in. We're going to be aiming for around that 60-minute mark, folks, just so you know how long this is going to take. We've got a number of presentations from committee members, but also from corporate partners with the association. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my Debbie McGee, also known as Darren Henderson, to share the presentation. So as I said, welcome to the annual general meeting of the EVA or the EVA Association of Northern Ireland. My name is Derek Reilly. I'm going to be your host for the evening. I'm also a committee member for the association. The agenda for this evening, as we mentioned, and for those who've just joined, this meeting will be recorded. An opening remarks from myself, but we've got the chairman's report from Mark McCall, presentation then from Fleet Financial from Damien Campbell. We're going to have a poll as well. We're going to have 2 polls throughout the night, and we'll also give you those results afterwards within the meeting. Treasurer's report, Mark Anderson, a presentation from Adrian Mendez, membership report from Darren Henderson, presentation from Share Energy, Damien Wilson, and then we'll close out, as I said, in around that 8:30 mark. We will be taking questions afterwards, but if you have to log off, there will be a record of those questions if there's anything that comes up in it. So I'm going to hand over to our chairperson, Mark McCall, after a busy year. Mark, over to you.
Thanks, Derek. Hopefully you can all hear me okay, and there are some slides going to appear shortly from Darren. Welcome, everyone. Many thanks for joining us, whether you are watching live this evening or the recording in the days and weeks ahead. We'll start at where we usually do, I guess, which is the Department for Transport figures for last year. If you can bring the first slide up, Darren, thank you. This shows all these are all plug-in vehicles in Northern Ireland, and we were approaching 23,000 by the end of last year. That was almost 8,500 sold here in 2023, a 41% increase on the previous year. The most recent DFT stats are from Q2 this year and now show 27,500 plug-in vehicles here. The department have recently confirmed to us in writing that this is not the full picture, though, and they are working to include more vehicles that are leased to customers here through firms with addresses outside of Northern Ireland. More up-to-date stats then on the next slide, with our thanks to the team at New Automotive and to Brian for his work pulling these from their API. Importantly, these show just full battery electric sales, and this is last month, September 2024, compared with September 2023 below, and it shows a 35% increase in the September compared to last September. The next graph then is a new one for us, which takes that data from New Automotive and shows the percentage of new car sales in Northern Ireland that are full battery electric. We're seeing a good upward trend, and this is before the ZEV mandate even comes into effect here. In terms of stats from EV drivers themselves, our annual survey this year once again has shown some good positive directions of travel too. For example, this stat 2 years ago, more than 2/3 said they had to wait very often or always for a charger. Last year that fell to 1/4, and then this year that figure halved to just 12%. As we know, there's more to do. 27% say they are still finding it difficult or very difficult to find a working public charge point. Importantly, more than 1/3 of drivers attempt to use the public charging network here at least once per month. And I guess the elephant in the room for many of us is the whole disinformation thing. And it's really quite extraordinary levels. We were over at Fully Charged Show, Everything Electric Show earlier this month, and it certainly was front and center in everything over there. So unsurprisingly, the majority of our drivers, 89%, are seeing articles that do not reflect their experience of driving an EV, and 1 in 4 say they're seeing that on a daily basis. You can pull up the rest of them down there. So I'll just say that it was nice to see the Belfast Telegraph picking up this headline or ran with a headline on the 11th of September this year. Negative articles around EVs don't reflect owner experience. So that was good to get that into the media. And in terms of infrastructure, then we continue to follow the companies and projects rolling out here. And we're talking to other CPOs that are not quite ready to reveal their plans yet. It's great to see both large multinational brand names as well as indigenous firms that are creating a strong reputation for reliability and customer support. And here are some examples of what this is actually translating to on the ground. It's the new Weave site at the George Best City Airport, which is now opened. Brian here visiting the launch of the BP rollout. So that's 200 rapids across 100 sites, and that's well underway. So really nice canopy there on the new Ballymena hub for Maxwell. This is an 8-bay site in Bangor, which was an easy-go site, which is part of the Faster project. Ionity's first hub in Northern Ireland in Toome, 6 bays there, and 11 bays at the Kennedy Centre in Belfast. Those are all open, so a few under construction then. Ionity in Dungannon, we're hopeful that this might open before Christmas. You'll see 6/12 bays in some of these now, so the CPOs tell us they intend to maybe start with 6 chargers, even though there's 12 bays, and they'll roll out the extra hardware as it's needed. A very famous fastened canopy, so both Antrim and Banbridge have started. They've broken ground in both those sites. And then finally we come to this list of hubs with 4 bays or more. There's probably actually a few missing in this hub now. It's hard to keep it up to date, but this gives you a flavour of what's already here, and on the right hand side what's in the works. I really like this view from the What's Up app. It shows just rapid chargers and gives a really good overview at a glance. Still gaps, of course, especially in the west. But if we look at the next slide, there's better news here too, with many local sports clubs eligible for the Irish government Shared Island Initiative. This will fund chargers at 227 clubs right across Ireland, with 48 of them in the north. Thanks to David for mapping them out here. 30 of the 48, almost 2/3, will be west of the BAM, which certainly is going to help redress the balance there. This is a very welcomed investment of around, we figure, £2.7 million roughly from the Irish government, which is probably around 3 times what our own assembly has spent on EV infrastructure here in the last 4 years. Once completed, this single project will grow our current DC charging numbers by around 30%. Looking at comparisons then, and in terms of the UK, we are still an outlier on charge point numbers. Our graph here shows both AC and DC chargers. This is chargers of all speeds per 100,000 population. That said, the change in direction over the last 24 months is clear and most welcome. The next graph is our original, probably the one that we've shared most over the years. It shows rapid chargers only per 100,000 population. And if we look at the next slide, we've updated this version now, which shows 2 years ago. So July 2024 in green versus July 2022. And in terms of growth, this is showing Scotland has plus 84% in the last 24 months, England's plus 106%, Wales 179%, and Northern Ireland 618% growth. This shows, in DC terms at least, we are accelerating to catch up. We are already ahead of where Wales were just 2 years ago and approaching the level for England in 2022 as well. The next slide shows David breakdown of rapids versus ultra rapids and shows an almost 50-50 split here currently, a higher ratio for ultra rapids than many other regions, and perhaps the only late mover advantage that we're enjoying. We often refer to DFI's own travel survey. This diagram shows that all the buses and all the trains in Northern Ireland make up 3% of miles travelled here. It's vital that the 84% of miles travelled by car should be the focus of decarbonisation. We believe the Infrastructure Minister recognises this, and in the Assembly back in April he said, quote, "Families and businesses rely heavily on private cars, but we want to ensure that we move to a situation where the vehicles they are driving are zero emissions." While EVs are not a cure-all, these two quotes really capture their importance. We share these quotes far and wide. We've seen a realisation from the executive that the transition to electric vehicles will be vital in meeting our Climate Act targets, and we welcome the fact that DFI officials now agree that this transition will be pivotal. Back in May, we submitted a paper to the Committee for Infrastructure, and that led to an invitation for an oral presentation of Stormont just last month. This was certainly one of the highlights of this year's campaigning and saw the ZEV mandate approved in the Assembly shortly afterwards. We thank the Committee for Infrastructure for all the work around this. We continue to engage with a wide range of stakeholders, and we've had more than 140 meetings since our last AGM. We are due to meet with the Minister for Infrastructure early next month and also have an agreement to meet the Economy Minister too. With regards to the EV task force, we have to say we're disappointed to report that it has met just twice this year so far. We have asked the Committee for Infrastructure to review the 6-point action plan published by the task force back in November 2022. We must see a proper EV strategy developed for Northern Ireland. I attended a Zero Emission Vehicles Ireland workshop last month, and it's clear that ZEV have a comprehensive and detailed plan in place. The draft transport strategy for Northern Ireland that was due by the end of 2023 did not appear. And with a lack of fit-for-purpose policy, we're seeing some councils using a 30-year-old DOE planning guideline to refuse permission for EV development here, for example. We're told a new transport policy will come after the Climate Action Plan, and we believe it's vital that the move to electric cars should serve as a solid foundation for that document. The public charge point regulations came into law last year. However, much of this legislation actually takes effect in November. So we look forward to things like tap to pay becoming available on all rapid chargers by next month. As for homes without off-street parking then, we continue to push on cross-pavement solutions, and it's becoming clear that the gully-style units will allow many more homeowners to enjoy the cost and convenience benefits of charging at home. We met with the makers of Gully at the Everything Electric Fully Charged show in Farnborough earlier this month, and you can watch Darren's interview with Jason from ODS on our YouTube channel. And just last week, we visited a housing executive depot outside Belfast to see their trial of 4 turbocharged units. These are being used to safely cross the pavement to charge their 10 electric vans. Back in May, DFI officials told the Committee for Infrastructure, quote, "We hope to be able to find solutions pretty quickly, and we would certainly encourage the department to reveal their plans for this as soon as possible." In terms of other lobbying then, we continue to focus on the areas here. Some of them are listed here anyway. There are several important milestones ahead in the next 12 months. The latest price control for NIE networks, RP7, will run from April 2025. And their chairman told the CBI breakfast last weekend that the grid transformation here will be a 20-year project that will cost more than £10 billion. Socialisation will reduce the price to connect to the grid, and we're told new regulations are set to come into effect as early as Q2 next year. And the smart meter rollout that's currently being planned will eventually bring agile tariffs to Northern Ireland too. Please get in touch and let us know what's affecting you most so we can best represent you in our lobbying. So we know that significant challenges lie ahead, but we remain cautiously optimistic for progress. As a small community interest company, I believe we continue to punch well above our weight. Our reach and influence defies the size of the organisation, which continues to be run by a small team of volunteers. However, I believe we cannot sustain the current pressure on key members of our team. The workload of this group continues to increase each year, and in order to maintain both our effectiveness and our reputation, it's vital that we receive additional support. So I'd like to appeal to everyone watching. If you're a passionate EV advocate who understands and supports our energy transition, then please do seriously consider joining our team. If you're ready to roll up your sleeves and contribute to the work of the group, we would love to hear from you on the email address on the screen now. Darren will give us an update on membership later on, but thank you to our corporate companies or our members on the next slide, Darren, for their financial and practical support again this year. Thanks also to our individual members, to my fellow directors, and to our committee. We are looking forward to sharing a stand again with our friends from the Irish EV Association at the NEVO show in Dublin on Sunday, the 10th of November. Hopefully, I will see many of you there too. So thank you again. And with that, it's back to you, Derek.
Thanks very much, Mark. Excellent work there from yourself and the active members on the committee. Really do appreciate all you're doing, and it's phenomenal for a voluntary organisation for all we've achieved, and the fact that you're getting to present in front of the Assembly, but also represent EV drivers as a whole at other interests, and that you came down as well to the ZEVI meeting down here to see what happens down at our stakeholder meetings. And as you said, when it's a focused body with a focused timeline and a staff to maintain it and manage it, it's amazing what can get done. So thanks for all your work, Mark, and for the members of the committee. Next up, I believe we have a poll, and it's a surprise. Poll number 1. Here we go. What influences you most when selecting a public charger? Is it the cost? Is it the location, the availability, the reliability, the speed, the facilities around that charger, or the brand? I think that's all of the options there. Yes, it is. We didn't go for color. One of the other things that we probably need to talk about moving forward into the future is the electricity that's going into these chargers, the sustainability of it, because our electric vehicles are only as green as the electricity that's going into them. So I think we're going to start to see that differentiator coming a lot more. SSE electricity are powered by renewable energies and others, I'm sure, that are on the network, but sometimes it also is down to where that electricity is coming from. So of the people on the call, we've got 83% of people have participated, and we're going to give the results of this after the next presentation. So thank you everybody who has voted. So next up, thank you, Darren, for that. We will share the results afterwards. Next up on the agenda, I believe. Darren's like, give me a second there, please. One of our guest speakers, we have a presentation from Fleet Financial, Damien Campbell. Damien, I'll hand over to you now. It's a really good conversation with Damien before the call started. So lots of great insights there as well as to what's happening in the space in Northern Ireland.
Thanks, guys, for the opportunity and for the overview. And obviously, quite a bit happening in the past year with yourselves. So tonight, we're as an organisation, Fleet Financial, are predominantly known as a business leasing organisation in Northern Ireland. But over the past 12 months, one of the things we launched was a salary sacrifice product. It is a product that is obviously in everybody's lips, probably predominantly known well in the public sector. We launched it just over a year ago, and I can honestly say we've been staggered by the uptake and the interest in it. So now we find about half and half of our inquiries are for salary sacrifice and business leasing. So when we looked at the marketplace, we obviously knew that one of the big things was going to happen was obviously to help individuals move across. And there's a number of key drivers, which I'll talk to you about from a salary sacrifice point of view, why we're seeing success. But when we wanted to look at the marketplace, we thought about local companies, predominantly an SME market. The vast majority, about 80% of companies here in Northern Ireland employ less than 10 people. Believe it or believe it not, I think that the number of people, organisations that employ more than 50 is less than 1,800. So we wanted a product that was flexible, supported local organisations, but ensured that they could access a salary sacrifice product if they had one employee up to large employee basis, and that's where we've had success. So when we talk about salary sacrifice as an organisation, we talk about electric, and we give the flexibility about plug-in hybrid. We are seeing changes. Obviously, there's quite a few vehicles coming to the marketplace that have more than 70 miles, so they have the lower benefit in kind. They're currently it's at 5%, and we're seeing some popularity, and that seems to be easing some people who either have an unwillingness or a nervousness in moving over to full electric, and that it's given them a little bit of flexibility around that. So when we talk about salary sacrifice, we talk about electric and plug-in hybrid. So Darren, move on there for me, would you? And a little bit about ourselves. So we're Belfast based, and we can cover the full of the UK. We're seeing a big advantage in the Belfast based thing. Just before we come on, we were talking about some manufacturers who are currently excluding delivery to Northern Ireland, Polestar being one of them. But we're, as an organisation, we having a base in Belfast and being able to cover across the UK, we are seeing a lot of benefits. And we're also seeing some of the larger salary sacrifice providers who are maybe looking firstly for large employee bases, or who had come to Northern Ireland originally are having some supply issues and some in-contract service issues. So that seems to be bringing some people to our door, and we're getting a lot of success with it. When we're in the marketplace, whilst people do know us, I suppose we've won a number of awards over the years, but more importantly, we're able to bring some credence because, again, we're an FN50, so Fleet News provides a list of the top 50 leasing companies in the UK every year, and we're actually set at number 22. So it does give people a bit of security and understanding that there is a professional organisation behind it. Darren, move on there for me. So you may or may not have looked at salary sacrifice yourself. So some of the key drivers, why do people look at salary sacrifice products now? Well, they're looking to save money. Obviously, it's one of the most cost-effective ways for somebody to actually interact with an electric vehicle. We see a lot of companies come to us because they want to help create sustainable fleets and help their employees transition across to electric, and it's such a popular benefit. And most importantly, they are looking for to boost employee benefits. We find a lot of drivers coming to us asking us, would we reach out to their company, or we could provide them with information they can bring to their company because it's a benefit that they want. And there's a lot of interest in the product here in Northern Ireland, but across the UK. I think the BVRLA last year said it was one of the quickest growing products that they'd seen in quite a few years. And we're seeing that over here. Our product, it works very well because not only do they have the expertise of us as a leasing company behind it, but we've partnered with a company called Knowles, who've been in the marketplace for about 20 years, predominantly known for salary sacrifice in the public sector. And it's their technology base that we use, plus their administration function that we use. So it means that smaller companies don't have any administration, very minimal actually, administration. And that seems to be one of the drivers that they're looking for, that whilst they want to bring the scheme on, they don't want to burden themselves with an awful lot of paperwork and administration, and that has helped us greatly. Darren, move on there for me, would you? So our scheme, all the vehicles that we can supply, so we would have arrangements with all motor manufacturers. We can supply any make or model of electric or hybrid vehicle. And the scheme itself, the driver has no limits on if they're given access to the scheme. They don't have to order a car within a certain period of time, so they can go onto the system, get as many quotes as they want. We anecdotally tell a story about a customer who did thousands of quotes, but that can happen, so we don't restrict anything. And every time a manufacturer launches a new model or increases discount or changes a model, our system is updated and moved on. So we give that flexibility as well. Darren, you can move on there for me. As with all these things, one of the benefits of not only having our support here in Belfast and speaking to one of our team, the salary sacrifice product is actually a dedicated website. So an individual gets their own login, so it's secure for them, and they can go in and do their quotations in there. And all their contract information and bits and pieces is all held in there. And their applications are all done securely within that website as well. Next slide there, Darren, for me. So overview, why are people ultimately looking at salary sacrifice for themselves? Well, we know that obviously electric and low emission vehicles are as good for people's wallet as they are for planet. But the realistic things that people, when they're talking to us, EV benefit in kind is capped at 5% until March 2028. So there's some surety around that. There's no deposits or credit checks for the employee. Payments are deducted from the employee's salary before tax. That's the huge benefit. So they can see a reduction in both their tax and their national insurance. For those who have the benefit of being able to fit a home charger and can access an overnight tariff, there's obviously major fuel benefits. And obviously there's some work going on there about those people who have some challenges around chargers at home. The rentals are inclusive of servicing, maintenance and tyres, which again gives people a fixed cost across a period of time. But more importantly, our product also includes fully comprehensive insurance. We can have the main driver plus 2 additional drivers on it, and it covers from 18 years of age up to 75, and somebody can be up to 78 at the end of the contract. So again, that particularly the way insurance premiums have been going and across the full of the UK and here in Northern Ireland, that has been a big win as well. There's windscreen cover included, and for those employees who are based in England, obviously not just for ourselves at the minute, we have exemption from congestion charges and free to travel at air zones, obviously for electric vehicles as well. Next slide there, Darren. And then the final overview. So why are our customers coming to us and speaking about salary sacrifice products? Well, saving money seems to be a huge driver. Reduced emissions, definitely the green agenda and net zero seems to be a lot of companies want to have this as a benefit. It boosts their employee benefits package and a very competitive marketplace, both while attracting and retaining staff. It seems to be something that is very active in the marketplace. It's an all-inclusive service, so it's the vehicle, the service, maintenance, tyres, and the insurance. They have maximum choice, so when we get updates on vehicles, the driver gets access to those as well. Specialist online systems, and they have local support, so both here in Northern Ireland, so whether it be trying to find out about what vehicles, lead times, what vehicles are good value for money, one of our team will be able to help them. And there's no limits, I say, there's no limits to the number of quotations that somebody can look at or the choice that they have. So that in essence is a very quick roundup of Fleet Financial SAC product. What I would say to anybody is the website itself that we use probably speaks 1,000 things to people. So if anybody is interested in looking at a salary sacrifice product or even seeing the portal and how it actually quotes somebody, please reach out and we'll be more than happy to show you over the next few while.
Thanks, Damien. That was lovely and concise and got the message across there. Great to see the uptake in electric vehicles, and it's not always about the cost, as you say. It's sometimes the emission side of things, whether that's the end driver themselves or the company that's putting it forward or helping them out with that salary sacrifice. It's something that we don't have down here, and I know that a lot of staff are very envious of the capability of what you have up there. So thanks very much for that. I believe we're going to have the results of poll number 1, and it is 30%. The most important thing to people is location. It's on their route, it's near to their route. And so as much as you hear people sometimes giving out about the price of public charging, if it's handy and it suits, people will utilize that rather than going out of their way. In saying that, the next one after that then is facilities and coffees, toilets, etc., is very important. And we're starting to see some island hubs opening up with nothing around them. It's not great experience if you do need some facilities. And then after that, then it is joint between the speed of the charger, which is also limited, but unfortunately by the car, and the cost of those chargers. Availability is lower down, reliability, the brand. Don't tell any of the brand managers out there from all these charge point operators, but unfortunately people do not care. They just want it to work and want it to be in the right location. Thank you very much for that. And thank you very much for those results, Darren. Next up, we have Mark Anderson with the Treasurer's Report.
Yeah, so Darren will discuss the members report shortly. But I guess our income in terms of Ivani is based across our members. So hopefully that if you folks on are supporting us at £10 a year, it's not too onerous. So last year we brought in about £4,987. It shows there, slightly up in the year before. Our expenses increased a bit because we're trying to attend a few more events. Events costs are really around kind of tickets, etc., for our committee members or directors, whoever want to or whoever attend, and that's where you'd see a lot of those wee interviews and bits of social media, which is really, it feels it's really just starting to drive traffic towards our social media sites and our membership. So you can see there about operating costs of about 3,500 and an operating surplus of 1,571. So I think we ended the year, so that was 31st of March, with about £8,000 in the bank, and we paid £298 in tax. So yeah, the drive continues for corporate and paid up members, and we're doing quite a bit of work with some corporate members to try and improve with membership perks. So that £10 is useful. So last year we had a deal with Click Energy where they give £10 in credit for anybody on their Twilight tariff, and if you're a member of Ivani, for example. Thanks, Dan.
Thanks very much, Mark. Yeah, it's great, and it helps the committee as well with the running costs of this voluntary organisation, attending events or exhibiting at events. So thanks to everybody that's a paid up member. As Mark was saying, it's only £10, but also to all of our corporate sponsors who are looking to get in front of and share their wares with the membership here at EVA and I. Next up, we have Adrian on the presentation with GoPluggable. I'll hand over to you, Andy.
All right, folks. Good evening. My name is Andrew Mendes. I'm part of Pluggable or GoPluggable. We are a Belfast-based startup. We've been part of the association for a while now. Since our start, we've been fairly active in the group. Essentially, we started off as an EV charger sharing platform, and the vision was always to help EV drivers, new and potential, without access to home chargers. So it started with my personal journey, where I used to live in a rented house, no home charger access, and my landlord wouldn't allow me to install one. So that's where this whole problem kind of started for me personally. So what I'm showing you here now is a bit more latest version of what we've been working on since the last 1 year. So we started off with a charger sharing platform. We've launched it. The association has been so very helpful in terms of putting us in front of users. We've had a lot of pilot members who've downloaded the app, and a lot of hosts based in both Belfast and Dublin. Around 2,000 downloads so far, and 200 hosts who completed that sign-up process. So thankful for the early users. We've been still tweaking the product a bit in the background. There's still a bit more development work in the background that's happening. But one of the new things that we've launched recently, and I wanted to kind of quickly talk about that today, is the commercial or business charging software. So the residential charging is a simple Airbnb-like setup. It works on a time-based solution because home chargers are not OCPP compliant. They're smart Wi-Fi enabled, but they can't connect to charging softwares like ours because they're not OCPP compliant, at least the previous versions. And in the future, as per UK legislation, all home chargers will be OCPP compliant. So the current version that's out, the residential one, our software doesn't really talk to the hardware. The calculation is purely based on check-in and check-out time. What I'm showing you here is the backend management for the business or commercial charging, which is built on OCPP, where the software essentially connects to the hardware. So if you are someone who is operating an Airbnb business, a retail, hospitality, parking business, or any kind of commercial retail entity, and looking to leverage EV charging for your business, we should talk. And this software that I'm showing can be kind of handy. So what you're seeing there is right now a demo account. So it's kind of a dashboard view of kind of giving you information on who are the users in the platform, how many charging station are we managing, in here, and also the number of charging sessions. So it's kind of a dashboard view that you can see here. Just confirm you can still see my screen, yeah? Yeah, all right.
Correct,
Cool.
yeah.
Yeah, and if you are a business owner, let's say you have multiple locations. So let's say if you're a fleets operator, or you have automobile showrooms or coffee shops or retail, whatever, you can manage multiple locations from here. So the idea is, you have multiple locations with chargers installed, and all of that is managed from here. So let's say this is a demo account, so you're showing one location, and from that location here, you can edit the customer facing side information. So you can see, you can manage the location information, you can do load balancing, you can add managers, but more interestingly, you can go into your charging stations, look at the charging stations installed in your location, and then set tariffs around it. So if you're a fleets operator, maybe it's free for your employees, so that's fine. But let's say when your employees are not using it, let's say after work or weekends, you could potentially give this access to public and kind of, unlock more money and earn revenue from it. So here you can set tariffs. So based on your electricity pricing, you can set idle fee, electricity pricing for weekdays, weekends at different timings. All of that can be scheduled from here. And of course, if you want to get a bit more technical, you can also go into remote actions. You can see server logs. So remote actions, essentially any OCPP remote actions that you want to do. So unlocking charger. So some of the OCPP transactions here, as you can see, cancel reservation, resetting. So what are things OCPP compliant hardware can do? We can do that from here. And like I said, if you want to get a bit technical, if something went wrong, you can see the server logs and see what's happening at that end. But for us, from a business standpoint, and not to compete against CPOs, but if you're a business owner, instead of working with CPOs who would put you in a 20-year lease, we always recommend that you kind of take ownership of that and use a software like ours to manage your charging infrastructure, because it'll give you information like who are the users, EV drivers using your chargers. You know the names, emails, they're GDPR compliant. Why have that? Because long term, essentially, you want to not just make money through EV charging, but you want to sell your business. So you can advertise your retail business or hospitality business. So let's say if you want to say Sunday brunch and you want to push an offer for all the EV drivers, you can do that within our platform. And the reason you can do that from our platform and not from the likes of, let's say, Monta or Fuse or any other similar platform is because we have a charger sharing consumer end on the other hand as well. So essentially what you have here is not just about charger sharing, but it also helps make your business more visible to EV drivers. So that's kind of the selling angle for us compared to other similar players in the market. And of course, we have similar features like the Monta and Verta guys. So you can issue RFID cards for your employees or for your customers. So if you're a hotel, you can use RFID cards to activate those chargers. Bookings, so you can do pre-booking. So let's say if you're a fleet operator, you only want to enable people who are other fleet operators and they need to pre-book. You can do all of that from here as well. So like I said, you own the data and not a CPO. So you get the major pie of it in terms of revenue, but most importantly, you own the data, which over 20 years, I'm sure is going to be much more valuable than the CapEx investment that you might be making. And of course, for EV drivers, for them to access these chargers, either they can scan the QR code, get into a web browser, put in their number, Apple Pay, and instantly start using. They don't have to download the app, so that's a convenience as well. Or they could download the Pluggable app and do the same thing. And of course, you will also get the payments, reporting, and all that access as well in the backend. So that's kind of the charger management system that we have built. This is now ready, live. We're just starting to sign up clients. We have actually signed up a forecourt, interestingly, top oil forecourt who's now installing 222 kilowatt chargers. So not doing the rapid DC ones, but 3 kilowatt AC, 22 kilowatts. So like I said, if you're a business, if you're interested to leverage EV charging for your business, you don't need to make a lot of investment because there's grants for workplace and others, so you can always leverage that and use something like our software to kind of make your business more discoverable. So that's more of that information in terms of what we do. The charger sharing platform for residential users is obviously still live. One other thing that I want to highlight also in terms of our work with the association is that we've always believed that there needs to be more work done in terms of getting the right information out there for EV drivers, both potential and existing. And maybe some of you have already attended or come across this. The site is not opening, but we also host something called as the Electric Circle, which both the EV Association from ROI and Northern Ireland have been part of. We want to keep doing more of these events. We had something scheduled for Belfast, but we kind of now changed that for next year. So this is kind of a, I would say, quarterly event that we want to do in Belfast, Dublin, and Cork. Among the other cities, some of you might have already seen these updates on your newsletters, but we want to keep doing it. Again, if you're a business or looking to be a part of this initiative, kind of a non-profit initiative, it's not a GoPluggable thing, but the idea is to bring the community, businesses, all of the stakeholders together. And lastly, just to end the conversation, for us, one of the most important things is creating partnerships. So we work with a handful of partners like Garrow, Weave, EC, OMI, and most of the names you might be familiar with, Ratio, and the likes of Zappy in terms of how we go to market. And of course, we work with a lot of installer partners. This page is literally a bit new. So we are adding EV installer partners as well to work with them in terms of getting our software out there. So that's it from my end mostly. We've been part of the association and we want to keep doing that and obviously support more EV drivers to make that jump from ICE to electric, even if they don't have access to home charger, by creating a network of slow, private, and bookable chargers that are affordable. So that's our pitch here. Thank you for having me here, guys.
Thanks very much, Andrew. We've got a question in just wondering about the residential stuff and the consumer stuff is still there. The commercial offering that you showed isn't a pivot for GoPluggable. You're doing both. Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, no, so the one thing that makes us different from our peers, so you might be familiar with, so let's say, the likes of CoCharger in the UK, who's been doing this for 4 years. One thing we realized from day one is focusing on only residential chargers is not the best way to do this, which is why we always had commercial chargers in our product roadmap. We might have speeded it up a bit, to be really honest. It was not planned to launch until next year. So it is in the pivot. Our model is B2B2C, which means there's both business and residential side of it. I mean, see, eventually what we want to do is the next part of the product roadmap is OCPI, which means we will bring in ESB or the likes of Weave onto our platform as well. So that means if you are a GoPluggable user, you have this network of private chargers in your neighborhood, bookable, residential, and businesses, but you can also access rapid chargers of, let's say, ESB or Weave or any other CPOs we partner with. So you have that unique combination of slow and rapid chargers in one platform. So that's kind of the eventual roadmap as far as GoPluggable is concerned.
Very good. Thank you very much. Very interesting. And thank you very much for your time and the Electric Circle events as well. Next up, we have, I think, poll number 2, or is it the membership presentation? It is poll number 2. I got it right. What influences EV ownership? In future, what factor will accelerate the transition to electric vehicles? It's a single choice. Is it going to be agile tariff and smart meters? Is it going to be the purchase price of that electric vehicle? Is it going to be more public charging infrastructure, so visibility? Is it going to be the cost of public charging, or is it going to be longer range electric vehicles? So what do we think here? And there are some EV owners, the vast majority probably on this call are EV owners. So we're living with them, we're charging with them privately and publicly. What do we think the future will hold with regards to accelerating the transition to electric vehicles? And what we're going to do is have our membership presentation with Darren, and then we will be coming back. We are at 67% participated, 71% participated. We'd love as much feedback as possible. And thank you everybody for completing out the survey that was recently completed. Mark, the chair, referenced it in his presentation. It was over 60 questions, but it was really invaluable. And thank you for everybody who participated in that survey. It's great to do it every year. And it makes a huge difference with regards to getting the information out there that's actual fact, not the misinformation and the disinformation. So very good. We are nearly over 80% participated on that, so we will come back to that afterwards. Dialing in direct from Amsterdam, we have Darren Henderson going to give us our membership presentation.
Thanks for that. Just a very brief one, as you say, over in Amsterdam, working on a laptop, running this Zoom, so it's a little bit challenging on a single small screen. So sorry for all the hassle if people are seeing some not so smooth transitions. So membership update very, very quickly here. On computer. So again, just as a reminder, we opened the EVA official membership on the 25th of August 2021. We're now sitting at official members, people who are joined at the website at 626. That's a 26% increase from 2023, which was 485. That makeup of that is full members, associate members, and corporate members. We're 230. First, that's up from 206, 10%, a small increase there. Associate members, pleased to see a 40% increase there, up to 372. And our corporate members, it's currently sitting at 24. There's some changes around that. So there's some additional ones coming on. So that's why the question mark is there, because some additional ones come on. So we didn't have the full figures at the time of creating this presentation. By comparison, we have Facebook membership. We went through the 3,000th member there. So we're up to 3,004, which is a 16% increase from 2023. And interesting, only 5% on Twitter. So I don't know, maybe something's changing with Twitter, but we went from 3,100 to 3,273, which is a more modest increase there. Although there was a great spike at the beginning from 2021 until 2023. And then it seems to be flatlining now. We'll see if that continues or it's just a blip at this moment in time.
I wonder what happened in 2023 on Twitter.
Can't imagine. Just in terms of a breakdown, this is just give you an idea that's our the graph at the top is our Facebook members, and then the graph at the bottom is our members on the website. And we're sitting probably at around 20% of our Facebook members are actual members, and it's something that we want to focus on, is trying to turn those Facebook members into full members or into associate members. It's free. Associate membership is free. There's no commitment there. It's just that it gets you onto this. It allows us, whenever we're lobbying, we're sitting in front with the ministers of Department of Economy or Department of Infrastructure or the Infrastructure Committee. We can say, these are guys that are signed up as official members, because they don't really take the Facebook membership numbers as official members. They're interested parties. So we would encourage as many people as possible to sign up. Associate membership's free, and we're not seeking for people to pay the money, but if you want to, the full membership's available, but that's not our focus. We want to get as many onto associate membership as possible. So that's the quick end of the membership slide, and I'll pull up the poll results here. Derek,
perfect. Thank you, Darren. What I'm finding with regards to social media, there's definitely a decrease in people participating on Twitter, now known as X, but Threads seems to be getting a lot more EV love. And you can see Robert Llewellyn leaving Twitter/X, as well as Dan Caesar, both from Fully Charged and Everything Electric, and moving over to Threads. So it seems to be a bit more of a positive environment. So it might be something that the committee does. But I know that we've enough to be thinking about rather than another social media channel to be managing and monitoring. So what influences EV ownership? It is 50% of people who responded said it was the purchase price. Thankfully, we have a salary sacrifice presentation earlier on this evening, so don't be worried about that. After that, then we have longer range EVs. Now, everybody thinks they want longer range, but nobody has bigger bladders or can get a bigger bladder transplant. So the island of Ireland is not that big, folks. And I don't know if we need longer range, but Neo bringing in battery swap, et cetera, will potentially sort all that out for you as well. And then it's public charging cost, more public charging infrastructure, and then agile tariffs. So it's going to be interesting to see what actually makes a difference, and very much about people seeing their neighbour driving it, word of mouth becoming the norm, more chargers out there, You'd be surprised how similarly priced electric vehicles versus standard combustion engine vehicles are. When you look at the total cost or the monthly repayments, we're starting to see more and more of that price parity. I know myself and Mark McCall have been backing over. He sends me a random message on a Tuesday night wondering me what's the price of an Opel Astra or Vauxhall Astra down south. Next up, we have Damien Wilson giving us a presentation on Share Energy. Damien, how about you?
Thanks very much, Derek. So I wish everybody for sitting along and listening to me in the last sort of slot before everybody's evening comes along and listening to football and stuff like that there in between times. So I'm not going to keep you too long or talk too much. I just want to give you a little bit of background to Share Energy in terms of, we go to the next slide, please, Derek. So basically cover off who are Share Energy, give you the sales pitch, which I have to do, obliged to. Talk a little bit about the energy market in Northern Ireland and what's happening there, and then what we can do as as suppliers in the market, as much as working with you guys and with suppliers and as a collective, I think, as well. There's lots of good things happening and lots of great plans, but it's pulling it all together, I think. So give you a little bit of background as to who we are. I've worked in the energy sector now for 15 years. I'm responsible for about 50% of the companies, retail companies in the energy market here in Northern Ireland. Having worked in Budget and Fleet, and now Share. So Share is my third company in the market. And it came about sort of as in a response to sort of the rise in public concerns over the sort of profit first mentality of the big energy companies. So over the last few years, all you would see, company X posted millions of pounds of profits at a time when there was the energy crisis and heater heat crisis and all those sorts of things. So every year the energy providers were constantly posting these things while the consumers were struggling. So sort of born out of that idea that we wanted to change that energy landscape, until Share Energy was born. So we're owned and managed by 3 local entrepreneurs, and between us we have over 50 years experience of working both in the retail side of it and also in the generation side. And we're looking to pioneer better offerings and new offerings and different ways to do things. So we're sort of restricted in the market with what we can do to a point, but there's lots of things we can do to lobby and to bring things forward into it. So if we go into the sort of next slide there, Darren, please. So this is the sales pitch for Share Energy. As the sort of name suggests, we are open for business license the 2nd of September, and we actually, our USP in the market is that we share our profits 50-50. So if we make money, then you'll make money on it. We offer the lowest standard rate in Northern Ireland, and we're also very competitive on our EV rate as well across the rest of the suppliers, and we'll come on to a slide about that. There's no contracts, no tie-ins, nothing like that. We would love you to stay with us, but if you don't like the offering or don't like how we do things, then we're not going to tie you in or hold you to the offering. And we also offer a £15 refer a friend scheme. So if you refer somebody to us, we'll pay you £15 for referring them, and we'll also give the person you referred £15 of credit on their meter as well. So there's incentives in there to get you going and get you joining us. And since we launched on the 2nd of September, we've had a few thousand people now register to switch to us. So things are going extremely well for us in that sort of 6 or 7 weeks, and we hopefully will continue that as we go forward in the market. Go to the next slide there, Darren, please. So I thought this was quite an interesting slide. So over the last 10 years of the domestic market in Northern Ireland, what we're showing here is that over the last 10 years, the line that you see there on the graph is showing the sort of the growth of meters, new meter connections. So since 2015, there were about 785,000 domestic meters in Northern Ireland. At the end of Q2 in 2024, there was 846,000 meters. But the interesting thing here is that the domestic consumption never changes. You've added 60,000 meters there. You have the growth now, your EVs come along, small and all as it is, but domestic consumption, if anything, is starting to fall away. So you've seen that the spike that was 2021 with COVID and everyone working at home, and then slowly starting to fall away then from 2022 into 23. And we only have 2 quarters for 2024. So we are seeing that drop off on domestic consumption in there, even with the growth in EVs. So there is plenty of capacity, as far as we're concerned, in the market for EVs and for charging that can happen along that way. Next slide there, please. So again, just on the sales pitch side of things, there's 5 suppliers here in Northern Ireland that offer EV tariffs out there. They're all quite comparable. On a day rate seems to be the biggest sort of disparity between all the suppliers. Night rates are quite similar as well, and also the standing charge that we all provide. So again, there's loads of choice out there for the EV owner. Of course, we hope you come to share energy, but there's plenty of choice out there for everybody on how to do things. And just as a slight comparison, then also, we go to the next slide there. In the Republic of Ireland, the tariffs are quite similar to what they are here as well. The biggest difference you'll see in the Republic of Ireland, the standing charge, huge difference to what's happening here in Northern Ireland, the market, so on. So the final slide there, just a reminder. So what can we do as a supplier? Well, we're lobbying and we're pushing hard for time of use tariffs. We're building a big infrastructure internally for our customers, and also for us to work on time of use tariffs and flexible time bands. We're working off tariff tables and solutions that are 20+ years old. They haven't moved with the times. So it's that support with Ivani and lobbying that needs to happen with the likes of NIE, with the government stuff they got there, to look to break the mold as well. There's loads of things out there that we could be doing, should be doing, when you look best practice around the world and what's happening there. And these are all things that we're trying to push forward with as well. In the vehicle, charging your vehicle, exporting that there out to the home or to the grid as an additional support, as an additional source of energy for you at peak times as well. Smart metering, but we all hear about smart metering. We have this consultation out at the moment in Northern Ireland. Smart metering is great and fantastic if it's done properly. We're seeing those issues in the Republic with a low uptake in smart metering. It's ridiculous the amount of meters that have been rolled out, and nobody seems to be taking them up. Part of that's down to suppliers not delivering tariffs that customers want. Part of it's an education thing that customers don't know what they want. If you look at what's happened in GB with their smart metering solutions, it's taken them nearly 10 years to figure out how best to deliver that. And even then, it's not getting the uptake that they originally wanted, and you have people complaining all the time. But smart metering needs to come in to allow us to adapt our pricing and our methods of paying for electricity, because our lifestyles have changed from they were 20 years ago. We're very, very different in how we work and how we operate and how we work at home and various things like that there. And there's other things such as based energy initiatives. I was interested listening to the presentation at the start about the footpath chargers are coming across the footpaths and stuff like that there. When you look at the housing stock in Northern Ireland, that's a big issue. It's a huge issue, but there's, is there community-based initiatives that can be working on where you can share the chargers, which goes slightly to what was part of the GoPluggable thing, and community solar and storage stuff that you see with the electric storage company or like battery storage. But these are all great ideas, but they you get great publicity at the start for them, and then they fall away, and you never hear anything more about them. So how do you keep that in the conscience of the people who are actually making those decisions and working towards that? So part of our sort of ethos and what we're trying to do is we're trying to create these partnerships, and that includes customers as well. We see our customers not as customers as such, but as partners. They're investors in our organization. So the more customers and investors we get, the better our performance. So we're looking at home charging suppliers. What can we do with them? How can we work with them to give value and to give added value to our customers? The little screenshot you see there is our internal systems that will allow customers to drill down on a daily basis to see what they're using, how they're using it, where they're using it, what they can do more efficiently. Because strangely enough, for an energy supplier, we want you to use less, not more, but we also want you to get the best value for money as well on that. And that goes to working with public charging suppliers, and it was great to see a list of the ones that are working through Northern Ireland and EVA, and also in the vehicle leasing organisations such as Fleet Financials and a few others out there. And we're creating these partnerships with the likes of Weave and other organisations like that as well, and solar and battery solution providers as well, to give our customers as much choice and as much capability to save money and to use their energy in the most efficient way possible, and even in their organizations as well. So that's my sales pitch for the final slide there. So if you don't mind. So if you're still not convinced about Share Energy and what we do and what we're about, then you can give us a shout. The contact details are there. And feel free to send us any questions or give us a call anytime.
Thanks very much, Damien. Very informative. And thanks to everybody who has submitted some questions. We have a couple of them coming in, and we'll take one or two more if you've got them, some burning answers. Andrian, if you're still there, if you can unmute yourself and see, or is he gone? On my other screen. Potentially gone. Damien, I'll come back to you. People are very interested in the profit share side of things. How will profit share work with Share Energy? Will you provide cash, cold hard cash, to the customers, or is it a credit back on their bill?
Either or, your choice is yours.
Very good. Somebody says gold. I only want precious metals. Next question for Damien is, can Share Energy purchase my domestic solar export? Currently, that person is selling to Power NI.
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can. Very good. I like these brief answers. And then the last one for Damien, can Share Energy, does Share Energy intend to offer 100% renewable energy electricity for those interested in minimizing their carbon emissions?
We do, but it's one of the ones we need to build up to. So we have some renewable energy on our books already, and as we grow our customer base, we will also grow our generation, so it will be green. The target is to be 100% green.
Thank you very much. And then the last question that I can see for you potentially is, when do you expect to pay profit sharing? Is it a certain month? Is it a per quarter? Or how often has the mechanics been worked out?
Yeah, the mechanics are worked out. Look, we're a new company in the market, so we're not expecting to make profits in year one. So to make profits, we first need to make some. So the profit share our financial year runs from the 1st of October to the 30th of September every year. So once we do our audited accounts, there'll be a profit statement made.
Nice.
And that'll be shared with all our customers, and then there'll be a calculation made. So the profit payment to you, a customer, is based on your usage. So it's a very fair way of paying out. So we don't pay the single person at home the same amount of profit as we would pay the person with 5 or 6 children living at home, with everything all just like my house.
So the more people working with you, the more people that can help generate a profit that can share in that profit. So it's all.
Yeah, it's all about customer hours, getting that customer growth in there. So the more people come and join us, the quicker we make a profit,
Brilliant.
and we can pay out. And it's just
Excellent.
giving some the companies and the people.
I have a very specific question on how much you offer for domestic solar. Maybe that's a per customer question, or depending on the tariff. I'm not sure if you know that price per kilowatt.
I don't know that offhand at the moment, but I do know it's competitive.
Perfect. And then we have any more questions? I don't think so. Darren or Mark, I'm seeing shaking heads. Very good. And Brian is after coming in saying that Twitter is now the total Wild West. I've discovered range anxiety by proxy. It's the range anxiety my ICE friends have on my behalf. It's the people that have range anxiety are the ones that don't drive electric vehicles, whereas it's normally people that are driving electric vehicles. There's other things to be worried about rather than range anxiety. So thank you very much for that, Brian. I think we're wrapped up. Closing remarks, if I'm getting the thumbs up from Darren. It is, again, a fast year, folks. Lots of phenomenal progress, more to do. But it's definitely on the upward trajectory, and that growth, that percentage growth that Mark shared, it's phenomenal to see here in Northern Ireland. And you start to see more electric vehicles around the place. You can see the share of electric vehicles being purchased, and that confidence in that consumer base. As Mark also mentioned, we have a show happening in Dublin on November the 10th, the Nevo Electric Vehicle Show. Some of you were there for the February show, but it's free to attend. You just go to nevo.ie and register before they're sold out. We thankfully sold out in February. There is a limit on the amount of people that we can get into the show. We have over 80 electric vehicles from over 30 manufacturers. We have some new launches. We have 14 launches happening at the show. We have test drives that Mark Anderson referenced as well. We've 2 stages of educational content as well. You may be seeing similarities with ourselves in another large electric vehicle show across the water. But we have hopefully a few more cars on the ground and relationships with those manufacturers here in Ireland. Thanks to the committee, as I mentioned already, for all the hard work throughout the year, and also to the active members. We're looking for more. So if you're joining this call tonight, and it was great to hear Damien from Share talking about the gully systems or the curb charge or off-street parking. Damien, we'd love to have you on the committee if you're that passionate about it. They're the kind of things that we talk about every Tuesdays and Thursdays in the committee WhatsApp. But joking aside, it is the things that we are looking at, lobbying for, and making sure we're, so not picking on you, Jamie, now to join the committee, but if you're those and everybody else on the call, if you're passionate about it, if everybody takes a small job, it's not a big job. We all know there's nobody sitting at home looking for more work. We all are busy people, but if you can spare some time, an hour or 2 a month is all we're looking for, to join the committee and help out. We'd really appreciate it. Thanks to everybody for joining, and for everybody who's watching on YouTube in 2025. We hope that the US election has gone the right way and all the rest of it. But joking aside, thanks very much for the committee to ask me to chair again. I appreciate the waffling on for over an hour. But otherwise, have a great evening, everybody, and we will all see you again soon.